I answered prompt 6 that said that the anti-federalists worry that the size and diversity of the U.S. made democratic government impossible. In what ways might a large heterogeneous population limit democracy, and how might it enhance it? The United States is a country built on immigration. Even before the American Revolution, the colonies were a melting pot of cultures unlike any other place on Earth. For example, the existence of Dutch in New Amsterdam, which is now New York, contributed to changes in American culture that is still seen today in the existence of waffles and painted Easter eggs, which were part of their traditions in that area. This trend of immigration continued after the revolution with waves of European immigrants arriving in America through Ellis Island. Over time, the demographics of immigrants shifted. As the background of European immigrants shifted west and south, including many Italians and Polish people and other Eastern European countries, conflict began because of disagreements between their cultures. People living in America had different views and ideals than the immigrants of these new places in terms of religion and culture. Also, the forced immigration of African slaves into the country through the Middle Passage heightened America's diversity further. As views of equality shifted to more closely resemble the views of today, more groups of people were given greater rights. This is seen in the passing of the 15th Amendment, granting Black people the right to vote, and the 24th Amendment that banned poll taxes that often suppressed the votes of poor and minority Americans. This demographic shift and who held political power to encompass all groups is what currently defines American democracy. As the anti-federalists feared, the heightened state of diversity within America did in some ways limit democracy. With so many different sets of beliefs held within the confines of our country, not all of them can be represented fairly, especially in our country today that is governed mostly by white men. Minority representation is sparse. According to U.S. News World Report, 97% of all Republican elected officials are white, and 79% of all Democratic elected officials are white. These numbers are not representative of the makeup of our country, with white people making just over half of the total US population, around 55%. This misrepresentation of the government limits the extent of our democracy. Underrepresented groups such as Asians and Pacific Islanders do not have the representation that defines American democracy. Thus, their voice is obscured by the white supermajority that has remained in power since the birth of our nation. However, America's diversity also enhances its democracy. While representation might not match population statistics, that does not mean that underrepresented groups do not have a say in government. Americans from all walks of life have an equal opportunity to vote, protest, and speak about issues publicly. Often, minorities speak the loudest to encourage change. For example, Ilhan Omar, one of only 4 Muslim people ever elected to Congress, which the first being in 2006, has spoken publicly about her desire to change America's undocumented immigrant policies. The power minorities have to enact change is great within America, and while current politics do not represent the makeup of our nation, we as a country have made strides to better this rift in recent years and live up to the democracy our founding fathers envisioned when they wrote the Constitution.